Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and great to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of the show. With so much to do over the next 60 minutes, a lot to talk about on over 270 affiliates across the U.S. and Canada. And wherever you may be watching, courtesy of YouTube, where the show is available every day, commercial-free, we welcome you. We will be joined by Matt Verderame. I talked to him yesterday on the show, but you didn't see the entire conversation. We had a whole nother segment that you didn't get to see where we talked about the Kansas City Chiefs, their rivalry with the Broncos that is budding in the AFC West, what happens between those two teams when they meet up on opening night. We get into that and what it could mean ultimately, what it could portend for that division as we go through the season. That is coming up a little later on in the show. But a Wednesday on Sports Wrap means David Aardsma is here as Sports Wrap goes inside baseball. We'll talk about all the top stories from around the league, including this MVP race that is developed between Pete Crow-Armstrong and Shohei Ohtani. Pete Crow-Armstrong now is the favorite to win the National League MVP. Will he? What does David Aardsma think? We'll get into it with him coming up a little later on in the show. We'll talk about Live Golf and odds and ends. Does it have a future, or is it the end for Live Golf? New developments there as golfers meet with the potential investor who's going to put $250 million into Live Golf, supposedly. We'll get into that some as well. But we start things out as we always do on this Wednesday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And the big story is presented by the Daily Wrap, our Substack newsletter, Monday through Friday. Go and subscribe today. We put the newsletter every day. The Daily Wrap has the newsletter. It's fantastic. It is a written sort of synopsis of what we're talking about on the show with some opinions and thoughts. You're going to want to check it out. The Sports Wrap newsletter, available on Substack. We call it the Daily Wrap. We also have exclusive columns. Well, you know, I'm a freelance columnist. I write for MS Now. But I also write exclusive columns just for our Substack subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, scan that QR code right there. It's easy. Just scan that QR code right at the bottom of the screen. It's free for now. So we want you to go and check it out, the Daily Wrap Substack newsletter. All right, we've talked about the WNBA in such a negative light so many times by no fault of our own. Of course, it is the fault of those in the league and those running the league. But we've talked a lot about the negative. I think today is a day to talk about the positive of the WNBA. And the positive, in part, is what we saw on Tuesday night. What could be the most shining example? We had Linda Cohn on this show. And bless her heart, I love her. But she said, outside of Caitlin Clark, if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, who would be tuning in to watch the WNBA? And I tried giving her some examples, but she wasn't having it. If last night isn't the embodiment of how on fire this league is, despite all the noise surrounding it, I don't know what is. You had the game on ESPN last night between Toronto and Indiana, with Caitlin Clark making her first trip ever to Canada, period. Not even just for basketball, just the first time she's ever traveled to Canada. And her and Kelsey Mitchell combined for 50 some odd points. And Indiana's able to hold off. It was kind of weird too, because Kelsey didn't play in the fourth quarter of that game, which has some people sort of scratching their heads. But Caitlin Clark, I think, put up 24. Kelsey Mitchell put up 19. Kelsey Mitchell had, I think, 16 in the first quarter alone in this game, as Indiana's able to hold on. And look, the bottom line on the Fever is going to be their defense. Offensively, they are a juggernaut. They are unlike anything this league has ever seen. They bring it from everywhere. Even Sophie Cunningham last night, she had 13 off the bench in 25 or 29 minutes, something like that. She played a lot, especially in the fourth when Kelsey Mitchell didn't play. and she was jacking up threes as she is wont to do. And Indiana wins. But the bottom line on Indiana is going to be, does their defense show up in the playoffs? Because if it does, I don't know who's beating this team in a long-ish series. The other story from last night, though, is the attendance around the league. Because this is sort of where I make my point on going against what Linda Cohn said when she was on the show a few weeks back. This idea that people are only coming out to watch Caitlin Clark. Well, no, that's not the case. You had 4 games last night. 3 of them were sellouts, and the other was filled to, I believe, about 75% capacity. Start in Las Vegas with the world champion Aces, who are always sold out. Over 10,000 at Michelob Ultra Arena or Michelob Arena or whatever the hell they call it. One of the 7,000 different venues that you can watch an event at here in Las Vegas. The Aces win last night. Actually, the Dream beat the Aces last night. Big win for the Dream. But a sellout crowd there, as you would expect for the world champions, right? Well, then you go to Boston, where the Sparks and Sun played. The lowly Sparks and the lowly Suns, 2 of the worst teams in the WNBA, meeting up in Boston for the final time a WNBA game being played there, because the Connecticut Sun used it as an alternate site. Now the Connecticut Sun are moving to Houston next year, so there will be no more WNBA games in Boston. Sold out last night, 19,000, something like that. Or it might have been 19,000 in Toronto, but it was a sellout crowd in Boston at the home of the Celtics. And Boston will get a WNBA franchise eventually. They have proven that they embrace WNBA basketball. So Boston will get a franchise eventually. Maybe in the next tranche, we'll have to see. But a sellout crowd to watch those 2 teams go up against each other. And then you had what we discussed in Toronto with the sellout crowd at the home of the Raptors. So listen, you can try and talk about Caitlin Clark this and Caitlin Clark that, and all the power in the world to her. She started it when you think about these attendance figures we're seeing. But make no mistake about it, there is support for all of these franchises. And a league that is flourishing in spite of itself right now, in spite of its best attempts to self-sabotage what they are building. Last night was the embodiment of everything the WNBA can and should be. And that's the big story. We're talking baseball with David Aardsma next. Welcome back to the show. If it's a Wednesday on Sports Wrap, it can only mean one thing. This guy's here. The one and only David Aardsma, Sirius XM MLB Radio. Oh yeah, he played baseball too. A little bit. So I want to run through a few things with you on today's show. How on earth is it possible that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has not hit a home run in over a year at Skydome, Rogers Center, whatever the hell they call it? How on earth is that possible, David Aardsma?
Because he only has 7. He's not a home run hitter anymore. He decided, I don't hit home runs. That's not what I do. And here's the interesting thing: like his splits are not crazy different. The on base percentage at home is actually higher than it is on the road. OPS is a big difference, like because obviously all 7 home runs he has this year are on the road. RBIs are going to be double because of just home runs. Basically, just add the home runs in there. I don't know what's happened. Like we always view Vladdy as this home run power guy, but like last year was a great year for him, and he hit 23. That's not an AL East home run guy.
But not one at home? I mean, not one?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with his swing. What's going on with his mind? His average is down, but it's not crazy down for his career. The OPS is down, but it's not like crazy down for his career. Everything is down, but it's not like this crazy drop. It's the home runs are down, but it's But again, it's not like he's out there hitting. He hit 48 one year. That's the problem. Is we see the 48 in 2021 and think that's who he is. Then he dropped down to 32, 26, 30, 23. He's not a 40 home run hitter. He was at one season. So like we have to maybe it's just us, and we have to review how we look at him as a hitter and think of him as a 25 home run hitter, and then saying, okay, how does that year look like compared to a 25 home run hitter? It's down, but we got to stop thinking he's like Pete Alonso or Ohtani with home run and Judge, and think he's more of a 25 home run hitter guy who should be a 280 hitter. That's what's concerning me, is the average. I want the average up 30.
But then does that mean this contract is an albatross around the Blue Jays' neck if this is what he is?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to say that I'm going to absolutely own it. If this was what he is, if he's a 23 home run hitter guy, which probably not that crazy far off the average, especially if you take away one season of his career, he's probably a 25, 26 home run hitter average. It might not be that far off to look at this contract, say he's a 280, 290 hitter that hits 23 home runs in the American League East in a power position. That's my biggest problem with the Blue Jays over the last couple of years. Yes, great run last year. Incredible. And actually kind of, if you look at it over the course of the year, it might have been a fluke type of thing. My problem is they're the American League East, and they're supposed to be a beast in the East. Where is these crazy power numbers coming from? They don't have them. They don't have pure power hitters, which you have to survive in the American League East. You have to have if you're going to battle day in, day out. And they're not built like the Rays. The Rays are they're talking about Albatross.
Yeah.
Rays are now. Rays are just this weird outside thing. Like, I know it's just a weird thing. I don't know how they do it.
Move to Ketel Marte, and this story. I mean, you're in the belly of the beast there in Arizona. How surprising is this? I know there's been past incidents with him and things that have taken place off the field. A lot of us were worried it was a mental health thing. It sounds like it's more of a physical health thing. How is an organization, if you're Torey Lovullo and this Diamondbacks organization, are you supposed to handle this?
So, yes, they're talking about him coming here to Phoenix for an MRI. One, he already missed a MRI, a knee appointment before that. So if it was such a big problem, why didn't we see the doctor in the first place? Two, you made the trip. You go out there, you make the trip, then people see you at a bar. This is, again, what I've heard. Then they see you at the hotel bar, and this is what Tony Lovullo said, or somebody said, and then he's gone. And no contact with Torey Lovullo for 2 days. So, like, we're hearing that he's coming back for an MRI from outside sources and not the people who should be telling us he's coming back for an MRI. So that his agent had mentioned something about going for an MRI, but he already had disappeared before that. Guys, like, you don't disappear because your knee hurts. That's just a fact. Like, if your knee hurts, you don't disappear. I'm thinking there's a couple things. One, for sure, something mental, personal going on, which is incredible. And if you hear the words from Torey Lovullo, incredible. He sounds like the best dad I'd ever want around, talking about, I just care about Ketel. How is Ketel? I don't care about our lineup. I don't care about our team. I care about Ketel because we are one. And I care about the man. And he was crying.
Yeah.
He was tearing up. God, I want to play for that man. Two, I guarantee you there might be something with the knee. There's an injury there. There's something. But that might be also playing into the mental side, into the bothering side. And I think, three, there might be a trust issue from Ketel's standpoint. Again, whether that's actual reason for it, I think might be a trust issue with him trusting something with the Diamondbacks front office or training staff or something that might have pulled him away and saying, I'm hurt. I don't want them to see. I don't want them to be evaluating me. But there's a lot going on here. But the one thing we shouldn't be having Torey Lovullo not knowing and not being able to answer those questions. We shouldn't have his agent be the one coming out and talking to presenting to the media what's going on. Like, this should be a joint effort between the agent, the player, and the team. And just get one voice, guys. Get one voice and let it be the team just to say what's going on, because that's what matters here.
In the last 45 seconds of this segment, how dangerous is Arizona if they wind up getting into the playoffs?
Without him, definitely not as dangerous. That lineup changes a lot. The look, the depth, everything about it. They get in, yeah, they're extremely dangerous. Their pitching staff, we've seen them turn on. We've seen them have times where they're lights out. Bullpen, I'm not too crazy. I'm not too excited about. I don't think they can go deep in the games. I think that what catches them into playoff series. And then the offense with him, extremely dangerous. Without him, kind of mediocre or just eh.
All right, David Aardsma is going to hang out for another segment. I want to talk to him about this NL MVP race. Who would have thought we'd have one? Ohtani, PCA, who does he like and why? We'll get to it as Sports Wrap continues inside baseball. Sports Wrap goes inside baseball every Wednesday on the show with David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer, Sirius XM MLB radio personality as well.
Trying not to be too close to the mic. I keep drifting.
It's all right. Sam eats it every day, and it just drives me bonkers. Sam is like this every day. I'm like, Sam, back off the mic a little. Doesn't listen. It's kids today. David Aardsma, before I get into the MVP talk, I want to ask you a quick question on the Mets. Are they doing themselves a disservice winning all these games? Because it's hard for large market teams to put themselves in a position to potentially get a top draft pick. And the Mets were sort of in that position until they decided to go win like 10 of 14 and play better baseball. I know Andy Green would probably like the permanent managerial job. I don't think he's going to get it. Give me a thought here on the Mets winning games and giving their fans hope for what in the process?
I mean, winning games. Yes, 6-4 in their last 10. They're not going to be as bad. No matter what, they're not going to be as bad as Giants, Rockies, Athletics, Angels, and Royals. They're just not. They've got too many players on the team too many players that normally play into October. They're not going to be that bad anyways. Andy Green wants to win as many games as possible. This is a tryout for Andy Green. This is what they're going to look at. Dave Stearns is evaluating this. There's going to be a managerial search, and there needs to be a managerial search at the end of the year. That doesn't mean that Andy Green isn't the guy, but I think when you have a veteran, solid team like this, a group of men, not rookies, not young guys, Andy Green might be a wonderful manager, might be a perfect manager. I don't think for this team. This needs a captain that walks in and commands respect the moment he walks in that door.
Then who? Who?
I don't have a list on me. Let me work on that. Let me work on some guys. But like you go out there, there's going to be some veteran managers available.
Sam says Carlos Beltran.
At this point, yes. I would be interested in that. At the same time, Carlos Beltran, how many managerial games has he really had? He commands respect from a player standpoint. There's a big difference between knowing the X's and O's, knowing when to pull triggers, knowing how to work with players. We were talking about Dave Roberts trying to figure out Diaz, and we were talking about this on MLB Network, figuring out each player and how they work and when to pull his trigger, when to push Scooble, when to pull Diaz, when to have these deep conversations. That is such a unique feature to amazing managers. You go out there and you go find someone who's retired, find somebody who's been sitting back and not doing it. Maybe it's an Alex Cora, even though Alex Cora hasn't done anything in 4 years.
Do you throw the bag at a Joe Girardi?
Yes.
Because I could see them with him being the Yankees on the Yankees broadcasts. I could see Steve Cohen saying, "Ha ha ha! Watch what we do." Go and poach Joe Girardi from the Yankees.
That would be a great move, and at least it gives you some stability. But then step back. I also think David Stern needs to get a GM. David Stearns needs to go transition to the president of baseball operations and just get a GM to handle some of that work, handle some of that stress, handle some of those daily moves that he doesn't need to be doing. David Stearns, guys, I don't think you understand how much I trust and believe in David Stearns. He needs someone else there that's also doing that stuff to take some of that pressure off. And it might be Andy. It might be who Green might be a perfect guy for that position, but he needs some of those other people around him. He's going to get the ship right. You just got to get the right captain and the right people around him.
I'm gonna actually, if I can, I'm gonna hold you for one more segment because I want to give proper time to the MVP conversation.
Yes.
And talk about the Mariners. But before we do that, so I'll hold that till next segment. Have you watched Edwin Diaz? Because what's wrong with him? He's going back to the IL. What do you see when you watch Edwin Diaz that it's gone so horribly wrong for him? Everybody talks about Kyle Tucker and how bad that's been for the Dodgers this year. I mean, practically crying in the dugout. That's how bad it is. Give me a sense on Edwin Diaz, what you're seeing as a fellow reliever and where it's all gone wrong for him.
Well, one, when you get loose bodies taken out of your arm, it's not all roses and perfect stuff. We talk about Tarek Skubal. Again, Tarek Skubal hasn't been his normal Tarek Skubal self either. After getting the loose bodies removed, Edwin he's going on the IL, 15-day IL because of a neck inflammation, right-sided neck inflammation. In baseball, especially in pitching, one little injury causes a chain of reaction, down your connect chain, basically, and one little thing thrown off screws everything up, and that's the difference between being a superstar, all-star, amazing closer and being incredibly average to well below average is one little muscle. That's the difference in baseball. In other sports or other positions, especially, you can muscle through things and get through it and be just fine and no one really notice a difference. Especially in pitching, one little difference causes a chain reaction in your pitching and go from a career 2 ERA pitcher to an 11.8 ERA pitcher. That's the difference in baseball. So I think it started with the bone stuff. You get that loose bodies out, and then it got mental, the process when you're not yourself, when you're coming back from something you've never dealt with. You are just not mentally the same person. Now you're onto a Dodger team that you have to step up and be a superstar on a team of superstars. Like, they're expecting something out of you versus, oh, cool, let's see if we win today, Mets. Let's see how we do today, Seattle Mariners. This is awesome. Yay, baseball. And then you go to the Dodgers like, no, we win here. This is what we do, and we expect you to win with us. It's kind of like the Yankees. That's why guys fail with the Yankees. It's a different mindset. That doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it worse. It's just there's a lot of difference going to the ballpark with a breath and being able to, let's have fun today. We're going to play as a team versus no. This is what we do. Look at the banners. We win. And so there's a different pressure, and I think he felt that pressure trying to come back, be the superstar, the huge, massive deal. And then he wasn't felt himself, and it just snowballs, man. That snowballs got pushed, and it just built, and then it tenses up. Something else, has an issue. I actually don't mind this at all. Take the IL time, get right mentally, and lock in. And I think he's going to be fine in September.
And look,
at least better.
Even with the Kyle Tucker situation. Even with Edwin Diaz, Ohtani being hurt on and off a little bit throughout the year, everything that they've endured, you still look at what the Dodgers are, and they're obviously the favorite to win the whole thing. David Aardsma is going to hang out for one more segment. I bolted him to the chair because I got to get to him on the NL MVP race between PCA and Ohtani, and also the Mariners and the mess that is baseball in Seattle right now. How do they fix it? What is the fix? We'll talk about that and more next. Coming up in 10 minutes, I had a conversation yesterday with Matt Verderame of SI. Does a great job on the NFL, one of their insiders. There was a whole nother segment that you didn't see because we ran out of time on the show. But he and I kept talking, and you'll hear that conversation coming up in 10 minutes. Bonus content. David Aardsma is here, former big league reliever and closer. Sports Wrap goes inside baseball. MVP race in the National League. Who would have thought it'd be August 19th and we'd be talking about a possibility of somebody other than Shohei Ohtani winning the MVP award? Pete Crow-Armstrong now the favorite to win the MVP, David Aardsma. He's minus 165, Shohei Ohtani plus 140. That is still very close. Sam Yarnell seems to think Ohtani will still win it because he's going to come back and pitch a little bit. I think that could go the other way, though. If he doesn't pitch particularly well, it could hurt his MVP argument. Who do you have winning the MVP in the National League, David Aardsma?
So one of the fun things about this is the records of the teams are so similar.
Yeah.
Right? 76-51, 74-53, incredibly similar. The Dodgers, obviously the big difference there is the Dodgers just have superstars left and right. Well, I mean, every single player on that team is basically an all-star at some point in their careers, or an MVP or a Cy Young winner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Cubs are a completely different team, right? You go up and down that lineup. They've slow build that team over time. They lost their best player in the offseason in Kyle Tucker, he was currently a Dodger, and we just talked about with his struggles in Dodgerland, and that's a whole nother conversation about his struggles. And then you get to PCA and Ohtani. Okay, the two kind of guys that have just been getting the job done in both places. Where I give my hat to in this ring right now is PCA. I think offensively, he has a little bit of an edge right now in some of the stats, some of the secondary stats like OPS plus, stuff like that. Ohtani has an edge. But when we're talking about an edge here, we're talking about like a razor's thin edge. Like either way, no matter what. WAR, PCA has one more WAR, but I don't want to even get into that. More games, but more plate appearances, more hits, all that stuff. But Ohtani has less games, but he has slightly better stats. Okay, stats are pretty much the same. So now we got to break it down to pitching and defense. Pitching, Cy Young caliber, but pitched 80 innings and has been hurt. And if he comes back, we don't even know what we're going to get. Might be the opener or might be a closer. We don't even know when he just threw a bullpen, so it's going to be late September regardless. They're looking for that October. And then you get PCA, who's the best defender right now in baseball, best center fielder, and the biggest moment maker. That's the thing to me. The moments. Every time the Cubs has their back against the wall, he's the guy coming through. He's the Aaron Judge coming through in these moments. He's the Cal Raleigh coming through in these moments. So these are the things. It's not best player. It's not best two-way player. It's not best pitcher and hitter and greatest player of all time. It's not unicorn award. It is who is the most valuable. And the valuable right now, to me, if you don't have PCA on this Cubs team, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like this team would be third, fourth in the division. We wouldn't be talking about them. The Dodgers have Shohei, and you know what? But like without him, they still have 17 other superstars that can get the job done. And even like Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker was best player on the Cubs last year. Now he's sitting there and they have a 0 batting average and the Dodgers are doing just fine. This brings me to the Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge conversation from last year. Most valuable. Look what the Mariners are doing without Cal Raleigh's input. Look what they're doing. They're falling apart. We're talking about them firing everybody and having a complete regime change and what is wrong with the Mariners. And the Yankees are above 500 without Aaron Judge. They're above 500 without Aaron Judge.
They've got the best rotation in baseball, David.
He had one of the best seasons in baseball history. And they are above 500 without him. And the Mariners are a complete shambles.
Oh, you wanted to use another SH word. You wanted to use a different SH word, didn't you?
They're in shambles.
Yeah, you wanted to use a different SH word.
But that's the thing is when you lose, that's what Cal Raleigh meant to that team. That is value. That is most valuable. And people look at the stats and go, "Oh, greatest season ever." Without him, they would have been still made the playoffs. Without Cal Raleigh, the Mariners are irrelevant. They're a walkthrough.
I do often say, you oftentimes find out what an MVP is, not when they're on the field, but when they're off the field. Or in the case of somebody like Cal Raleigh, he might as well be off the field because he's been so bad this year. But you can't boil it down to just that one thing. If you're dependent on that one guy, then something's wrong with your roster, David. If you were simply dependent on Cal Raleigh having another year like he did last year, which you knew he wasn't going to repeat, if you were dependent on that, then something's wrong in the chemistry and the build of this roster.
Without a doubt. And there's something wrong with the chemistry and the buildup of this roster. There has been. I said it last year before the season started. Said it the year before. Said it throughout the year. You had everything come perfectly together. But this team, I'm going to say it. I'm going to scream it from the rooftops. There is a problem with T-Mobile Ballpark, with the backdrop, and they don't do anything. And there's been studies that show you the backdrop is the only backdrop in baseball like that. And you cannot hit the baseball there. And their pitching is so good because of the ballpark. I'm sorry. The best pitching in baseball in that ballpark, and they're average when they're not in that ballpark. Really good hitting when they're not at that ballpark, and the worst in baseball when they're at that ballpark. Change the ballpark. Change something about it. 2, that offense is so mediocre and so up and down. They really don't have any guys that just get the job done every day in and out. 2, 3, Julio Rodriguez is also having a down year, but is still not as down as what Cal Raleigh is. To me, Cal Raleigh is just... It's the lifeblood of that team.
And it's a shame because Arozarena's had a nice bounce-back season for them as well. David Aardsma does a great job. SiriusXM MLB Radio, Inside Baseball. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, their NFL insider, joined us on the show yesterday. Got into it with him on a whole host of NFL issues, but we had more to talk about after we were done yesterday. So you're getting some of that today. What's going on with the Chiefs? Huge training camp for them. Patrick Mahomes returned. Justin Fields on the field. Matt Verderame, what do you say about the Chiefs?
Justin Fields, the idea of Justin Fields, that's exactly what it's going to be, because Justin Fields is going to be on the bench barring a disaster. They've internally felt like Mahomes was going to be ready for week 1. In fact, they felt extremely confident that he basically was ready for week 1 by about Memorial Day. So I think if they had played a game June 30th, he would have played.
Really?
Yeah, really. Like, genuinely, if they had played a game like July 4th weekend, he would have been playing. I feel pretty confident saying that. Maybe they would tell you, oh, no, it would have had to be mid-July. Fine. He would have been ready to go, and it would have just been a question of like the doctors had medically cleared him, which at this point he's been cleared now since before camp. This is a team that is going to be very much determined by their young players, their rookie class. They had 3 picks in the first 40 picks. Mansour Delane, who they have extremely high hopes for. He was a 6th overall pick. He'd been dealing with a shoulder blade injury. He's now out of his non-contact jersey. He's out practicing. He's been very, very impressive for them in what he's done so far at camp. Peter Woods, I talked to somebody there a week ago who said Peter Woods has been one of the best players in training camp, like forget rookies, just in general. And then our Mason Thomas had a very good first preseason game. And yet all those guys probably pale in comparison to their 5th-round rookie receiver, Cyrus Allen, who has been the best receiver they've had at camp, including Rice, including Worthy. He's been fantastic. Look, all that is to say, these are still rookies, and they still have to prove themselves, and they are going to be thrust into real roles on this team. Those guys I just mentioned, those 4 guys, those guys are starting level players for this team immediately. This is not going to be like, oh, you're going to get your feet wet and we'll see you in week 12. No, you're going to play now. Assuming health for Mahomes and everything's good this year, like, I think they're about a 12-win team. I don't think they're going 15-2 or 14-3. I don't think they're going to be 9-8. I think they're going to win that division. I think it'll be a battle with them in Denver. I think week 1's going to show you quite a bit. They play each other Monday night at Arrowhead. I'll be at that game for Sports Illustrated. I think their offense is going to take a massive jump this year based on the fact that Kenneth Walker is the first running back Mahomes has ever really had in his career. He's never had a 1,000-yard running back in his career.
That's still a remarkable stat unto itself. That this guy, it's crazy.
Other than 1 year of Pacheco, I don't even think they've ever had a 700-yard rusher.
It's amazing.
They've never been able to run the football. And I can't express to people how much the difference of having Eric Bieniemy and not Matt Nagy is going to make for that offense. It is. Let's put it this way. They were talking about needing more accountability in December before the season ended internally. And I was at the Bears-Rams playoff game when the Bears lost. Bieniemy might have been out of that stadium and on a plane faster than I was that night. The Chiefs basically were like, the second your season's over, come home. And that was it. So, no, listen, I don't think there's some inevitable team by any stretch. I think the AFC is extremely wide open. But I think they're there with the Bills and the Broncos and the Ravens and the Texans and the Pats and all those teams. I think, how's it shake? I think a lot of it for the Chiefs is how good are your rookies?
Yeah, see, I think there's some regression this year.
I do too.
Especially with the schedule and everything. Yeah, you have to respect them, but I think they go backwards.
Do you think the Broncos or the Chiefs win the AFC West? I'm curious. The AFC West odds are crazy. Also, I guess throw the Chargers in there because the Chargers are actually getting better odds than the Broncos are.
If you made me bet your money on it, I'll take the Chiefs to win the division. But I'd also say be careful not to, you said we're going to learn a lot in week one. How much do you really learn in week one? Because I had this conversation with Bill Bender from the Sporting News yesterday. And he's like, the big matchup, it's going to tell us a lot, is Ohio State and Texas in week 2. And I'm like, yeah, but what a team looks like in week 2, which, usually week 1's a throwaway game anyway, so it's your first real game, is a lot different than what you are later in the season. And I'd rather have a team peaking. Who does that, and then the question becomes, who does that game, that week 1 matchup between the Chiefs and Broncos, who does it actually mean more to? I think it means more for the Broncos mentally. Because if they go in there and get pistol whipped in week 1, it could set the tone for, oh no, versus where if you're the Chiefs and you lose week 1 with Mahomes coming off injury, you lose a close game, you're kind of like, okay, depending on sort of the flow and the way the game is played, I feel like it means more to the Broncos in week 1 than it does the Chiefs.
You could argue it. The game's at Arrowhead, so I'll say that means more to the Chiefs. But I agree with you though in this sense. If the Chiefs, I don't expect this to happen. I think it'll be a really close game one way or the other. But if the Chiefs just lay waste to Denver in that game, like if that's just one of those games where, look, Mahomes is back, Arrowhead's on fire, Kenneth Walker, all this, and the Chiefs just beat them 34-16 or something. Like they just come out and you're like, oh my God. They have a kind of game where like Tuesday morning, everybody and their mother's like, oh my God, did you see what happened? Then I think if you're Denver, it does put it in the back of your mind like, oh no. Like this is not good. But the reason I think that game's a big game is the Chiefs win that game. Their next 3 games are Indianapolis, Miami, and the Raiders. Yeah. They could be 4-0 and gone. And Denver's 5 games after that. Something like Jacksonville, the Rams, the Niners, the Seahawks, and then there's another hard game in there. And it's like that's the kind of thing where the Chiefs could be 4 games 6 weeks into the year. And like, see ya.
Let's wrap it up with some odds and ends next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the show, I've got somebody coming on tomorrow, good guest, at least one. I can't say who it is because they may not be here. Here's what I'll say. We're trying to finalize something to have Andrew Marchand on the show tomorrow. He is the preeminent reporter on all things sports media. If you're talking about Pat McAfee or Tony Romo, Andrew Marchand is the guy who has all of that covered. We are slated to have him on the show tomorrow, trying to finalize the timing. If we don't have him for tomorrow's show, we will have him on Friday's show. So Andrew Marchand either tomorrow or Friday. We'll have to wait and see. A couple of reminders before we go. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, the audio version of this show, available Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show. Crystal clear audio with limited commercial interruptions, roughly 45 minutes. It works well as an audio companion while you're in the gym, on the treadmill, while you're waiting in an airport for the flight, while you're taking that flight, laying in bed, in the shower, wherever you may be. The Sports Wrap with Jason podcast is there for you. We also have the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. This is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show is available there. 45 minutes commercial free every day, Monday through Friday. If we are doing a new show, which is virtually every day, then it's on the YouTube channel. Go and check it out. Extended conversations are there, like the one we had with Matt Verderame. In fact, you saw 85% of that conversation. There was actually more to it. It's on the YouTube channel. If you love great NFL conversation, head over there and check that out. Sports Wrap Shorts are there. Sports Wrap Originals are there. We've got a great Sports Wrap Original there right now talking about preseason nobodies that turned into somebodies. We do a top 5 countdown of them. Go and check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. The Sports Wrap website is hot, hot, hot. Go and check it out. Sportswrap.tv. That's sportswrap.tv. Everything I just mentioned is there, including the Substack daily newsletter that you can subscribe to. If you go to sportswrap.tv, you can subscribe to the newsletter. You could also send us your comments, your feedback, your love, your hate. We take all of it at sportswrap.tv. There's a section at the bottom of the page for us to send us your comments, criticisms, questions, whatever it may be. And now, without any further delay, on this Wednesday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, we keep wondering if it's the end for Live Golf. They canceled their event scheduled for next week in Michigan. That was supposed to be their season finale. Well, there ain't going to be a season finale. Instead, the season finale is this week in Indianapolis, the club at Chatham Hills. And look, this is a critical point. They've reached a critical juncture in the history of Live Golf. And yesterday, the golfers, who are now going to be equity partners, it appears, with Live Golf, they had a chance to meet the investor that is supposedly going to save Live Golf. They're talking about $250 million being invested into Live Golf. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. If somebody's got that kind of money to invest in the sinking ship that appears to be Live Golf, I'll just take $1 million. You'll definitely get a return on your investment with me, I can promise you. We're here on TV every day. In fact, we have a better TV deal than Live Golf does. And that is the crux of the problem. You cannot convince me. Go and look at all these sports leagues. Where are they making money? Yeah, sure, tickets, attendance, parking, the concessions, all those things are nice. But golf? The TV rights deal means so much. And Live Golf simply doesn't have one that is of enough consequence and enough gravitas. Combine that with the fact that they're playing events all over the world at all different times. Guess what? I know every Sunday I could turn on CBS or NBC or the Golf Channel. And I know every Saturday and Sunday I could tune in between 4 and 7 p.m. Eastern or 3 and 7 p.m. Eastern, or here on the West Coast, noon and 4 p.m. Pacific. I can tune into CBS, NBC, or Golf Channel, and I'm going to get the third or fourth round of a tournament. I can't do that with Live Golf, and that continues to be a huge problem for them. And I'm going to tell you right now, the guys to watch, well, hold on, are right there. Those are the guys whose comments and criticisms and what they say about this potential investor, that's the stuff you need to watch. This guy and this guy. Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau are the two names propping up this tour right now largely. And how they go, Live Golf is going to go. So they got to keep those guys happy. And neither of them right now are saying anything that makes me believe one way or another this is going to work out. One last thing in odds and ends. Nick Kyrgios. He's provisionally suspended for a positive test for cocaine. I don't even want to talk about Nick Kyrgios, the tennis player, because he's 31, 32. He's largely done as far as his playing career. I just want to speak to him as the person and hope he gets his life together. He says on social media, which he's going to take a break from for the next 28 days, that this is the wake-up call that's going to help him get his life together. I hope it is. Because Nick Kyrgios is somebody that can still have an active part in the world of tennis, whether it be through the broadcasting side, the teaching side, whatever it may be. Best of luck to Nick Kyrgios. It's going to do it for us on this Wednesday edition of the show. Thank you to Matt Verderame. Thanks to David Aardsma. All of you at home for watching. I'm Jason Page. We'll catch you back here on Thursday. Bye-bye.